Good day, class. Our topic for today has something to do still with genetic information and non-Mendelian inheritance, but our focus is on incomplete dominance and codominance. Here are the learning objectives. First, explain the incomplete dominance pattern of inheritance. Second, describe the codominance traits. And third, solve problems related to incomplete dominance and codominance. But before we start our deeper discussion, let's have this think about it question. The question is, as an owner of flower shop, how will you use the concept of incomplete dominance and codominance to increase your profit? Okay, class, same from what we had before, from the different video recorded discussions. What I want you to do for the meantime is to remember this question, and at the end of the discussion, this think about it question will be seen again, and that's the time that you will type your explanation regarding the question or your answer in the comment section below. Incomplete dominance and codominance are two non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. Now, for us to understand the difference between the two, let's take a look on this illustration. Now, let's say that we have to cross a parent which is in red. This is a 4 o'clock flower, a red 4 o'clock flower. We cross it to a white 4 o'clock flower, and the result or the offspring produced from this test cross for incomplete dominance is pink 4 o'clock flower, while for the test crossed between these two parents, the red one and the white one, for codominance is a red white flower, should we say, right? Now here, from the illustration, we can all agree that for incomplete dominance, this pattern of inheritance produced an offspring with a combination of the traits coming from the parents. So we can all actually say that the color of this parent blend to the color of this another parent, producing this new phenotype in terms of the color, which is pink. Now, for the codominance, this pattern of inheritance is not combination or blending of parental alleles in terms of the color, because you would notice here from the picture I'm pointing out using my cursor, there is both parental alleles are observable, the red and the white. So no mixture of traits are happening here for codominance. Now let's try to further intensify our understanding for these two patterns of inheritance. Now let's have this question. Is the mode of inheritance rise to new phenotype? For incomplete dominance, we can all say that it produced a third phenotype, which is the pink. You have red and white from the parents. Now you produce new different phenotype, which is pink, that is observable to the offspring. So when we say phenotype, from what you've learned in grade 8, this is the observable characteristics. Okay, so phenotype for incomplete dominance is new. Okay, so it produces a third type of phenotype, which far different from the parents. Okay, now for codominance, the same question, which is the mode of inheritance rise to new phenotype? So for codominance, no. Okay, simply because you've noticed red and white do not blend in order to produce new characteristic for the offspring, what happened here? We can see both parents are observable. Okay, traits produced here. Uh, the effect is independent to one another. Okay, now for the second question, how dominant is or the parental alleles or allele to be expressed by their offspring? For incomplete dominance, neither uh, neither neither allele in the pair, okay, the red and the white is dominant or recessive. Okay, walang dominant and walang recessive from the offspring produced, okay, in terms of the parental alleles expressed. That's the reason why it produced new phenotype. Now, for codominance, both parental alleles, very evident naman, are equally expressed. You would see here red from one parent, white from another parent. So one allele is not completely dominant over the other. Okay, so both of them are observable. Now, another question that we can actually use in order for us to clearly understand the difference between the two is that what effect does parental alleles brought to the offspring to produce different kind of phenotype? Now, for incomplete dominance, the effect produced from brought by parental alleles is intermediate. Okay, which means to say allele of one parent mixed, blend, combined to another allele of parent. So this has something to do with blending, okay, or mixing, combination of two parental alleles. That makes it color pink in a sense. Now for codominance, the effect brought by parental alleles to the offspring is observable. Both are observable, okay, from what we've noticed here. So they produce effect independently in a simple words or in a simple phrase. Okay, so again, incomplete dominance is actually, we can tag it as blending of traits, which produced third phenotype. But for codominance, we can actually say that codominance is more of expressing equal parental alleles. There is no new phenotype produced for the offspring. You would also agree to me if we're going to use the name of the mode of inheritance for non-Mendelian, focusing on incomplete dominance. Kaya nga incomplete dominance, the traits of the parent is not completely evident in on the offspring rather. Okay, so far different from the traits of the parent. The dominant traits of the parent are not completely expressed. Okay, so what happened? They blend. Now for codominance, using the word codominance, that could actually lead us to think that the traits of the parents are equally expressed. Co means two. Dominant traits are expressed, both of them. Now, let's go ahead and focus first on incomplete dominance. Let's try to apply concepts here in order for us to solve problems related to this pattern of inheritance. Now, as mentioned earlier, incomplete dominance is the appearance of a third phenotype, which I highlighted here. Give emphasis for the words third phenotype, which a combination of both parental alleles. So combination of parental alleles when a cross is done between individuals with two different phenotypes. Remember here, in this case, class, that the trait of one parent and the trait of another parent, both of them are dominant. Okay, dominant. Not, we can actually not say that one trait is recessive to the other trait of the parent. Both of them are dominant. But here, on the offspring, both of these parental alleles, no, mix together to form a third phenotype. So examples of incomplete dominance pattern of inheritance are the pink snapdragon flower. We have we have that kind of flower in the Philippines. Wavy hair. Wavy hair is produced between a parent with a straight hair and a curly hair. So wavy is the one produced that is incomplete dominance. And your pink 4 o'clock flower. Now, let's have this problem. So, the number one problem here is that in 4 o'clock plants, R is the allele for red color, and W, capital W, is allele for white color. So, you remember now, maybe you're starting to remember the concept you've learned when you are in grade 8, that when we use capital R as the allele, so that gives us a dominant characteristic, a dominant trait. So the white W, capital W here for the allele for white color, this is also dominant. No? So two pink flowered 4 o'clock plants were crossed. So our parents here are your pink flowered 4 o'clock plants. So we use here for the genotype. So those are letters in order for us to represent the alleles present for the parent. So we have here capital R and capital W for the first parent, which is pink. That is the phenotype, pink for this genotype. So cross to another pink flower. So if we're going to identify the gametes present in each parent, so we can all say that both of the parents, they have two types of gametes, R and W. R and W. So let's apply the Punnett square and let's put in the table the alleles present for the parents. So when we do test cross, or when we use Punnett square, we just simply multiply R to R. Okay, we have this one, RR. Both are capital letters. And we do that for the rest of the letters present in this Punnett square. So we have capital RW, which W is still capital. We have capital R and capital W and capital WW. So if we're going to identify the genotypes for the offspring, so these are the possible genotypes of the offspring rather. So genotypes here are 1, homozygous. So homozygous red 4 o'clock flower. Homozygous because they have same letter, same allele for red present in this genotype. So we have 2 heterozygous pink. Heterozygous because one letter is different from the other one. You've learned that when you're in grade 8. And we have 1 homozygous white. So that's how we read these genotypes. Now, if we're going to get the genotypic ratio, so that is 1:2:1. But if we are asked to get the genotypic percentage for a certain genotype, so we have to take a look for this numbers in terms of percentage over 100. So for 1, this is just 25. For 2, this is 50%. This is also 25%. So all in all, this is just 100. That is for genotypic ratio. For phenotypes, we have 1 red. We're no longer using here homozygous or heterozygous. That is only for genotypes. So 1 red 4 o'clock flower. We have 2 pink 4 o'clock flowers, and we have 1 white 4 o'clock flower. And getting the phenotypic ratio, we have 1:2:1. Same procedure on how we get the percentage for your genotype in terms of the phenotypic percentage present for the phenotypes here. So you just simply apply 100% value in total. Okay, so you just distribute it properly for whatever number present for a given trait for the phenotype. So for red, we have 25% red flower. 4 o'clock red flower. Now for pink, we have 50%. Now for white, we have 25%. Okay? So this is our solution for this problem. Test cross between two pink flowered 4 o'clock plants. Now, using this same solution, so let's try to answer questions for this particular number. So for the first question, how many types of gametes will each parent produce? So as mentioned earlier, these are the gametes present for each parent. Now we can all agree that both of the parents, they produce 2 types of gametes. Now, another question for this number, again, what is the phenotype of a heterozygous 4 o'clock flower? So heterozygous with 2 different letters in one genotype. So that gives us pink. So the answer came from this genotype. So this is heterozygous. So the trait, the phenotype is pink. Now, third question, what are the possible phenotypes of the offspring from the cross of the parental plants? So we just simply get this as part of our solution. This is the answer for this question. So we have red, okay, pink, and white. So these are the possible phenotypes. So you might wonder, bakit di natin nilagay, sir, yung 1 red, 2 pink, and 1 white? If the question is how many phenotypes are red, pink, and white, that's the time that we have to put the numbers na. Okay, but these are just possible phenotypes. Okay, so there are other environmental factors that could lead, for the parents to not produce this kind of phenotypes for their offspring. But again, these are possible. Okay, these are possible. There's a big chance of having red, pink, and white, but the chance is 25, 50, and 25 from the discussion we had earlier. Now, for the last question for this number, what are the possible genotypes of the offspring from the cross of the parental plants? We have homozygous red, we have heterozygous pink, and homozygous white. That's how we read genotypes. Okay, that's how we read genotypes. Now let's have problem number 2. Another cross was made involving a red flowered 4 o'clock plant and pink flowered 4 o'clock plant. So from the problem, we could all agree that parents are homozygous red. We have to cross that to heterozygous pink. So these are the genotypes of the parents. Okay, genotypes of the parents for red and for pink 4 o'clock flower. So getting again the gametes present for each parent. Now for the red parent, the red 4 o'clock flower, we have only 1 gamete present. That is just R. Now for the pink one, we have 2 gametes, the R and the W. So let's put the genotypes of the parents in this Punnett square, and let's do test crossed. So R cross with another R or multiplied to R, we have 2 capital R's. Okay, and doing the same procedure for the rest of the letters, we have a capital R, capital W. We have 2 capital R's, and we have capital R and capital W. So these are again genotypes of the offspring. So we have 2 homozygous red and 2 heterozygous pink. That's how we read genotypes, right? Getting the genotypic ratio, that is 2:2 or 1:1. We have to write our answer in terms of ratio in a simplest form, okay? Now, for phenotypes, we have 2 red and 2 pink for o'clock flowers. So, getting the phenotypic ratio, we have 2 is to 2 or 1 is to 1. Using the same questions given for number 1, let's try to use this solution. The same solution we got for number 2 problem. So, how many types of gametes will each parent produce? For the parent 1, this one, we have 1 only for R. And for parent 2, we have 2. The R gamete and the W gamete. So, another question, what is the phenotype of a heterozygous for o'clock flower? So, from what we have here, we have this heterozygous genotype, and that in terms of phenotype, the way we read it, that is still pink. So for the third question, what are the possible phenotypes of the offspring from the cross of the parental plants? So these are the phenotypes. From our solution, we have red and pink. Now for the last question, what are the possible genotypes of the offspring from the cross of the parental plants? These are the genotypes. The one I'm pointing out using my cursor. So we have homozygous red and heterozygous pink. Now let's go ahead and proceed for codominance. So from what we had earlier, codominance is the appearance of both parental phenotypes together in the offspring when a cross is done between individuals with 2 different phenotypes. So both parental alleles are expressed in the offspring. So examples are roan, blood group, speckled chicken, tabby cats, and red and white camellia flower. So for the discussion regarding blood group or blood groups, we're going to still use the concept you've learned for codominance once we tackled multiple alleles. Okay, you will know there why blood group or blood groups is an example of codominance mode of inheritance. Now this is an example of a speckled chicken. So you have white chicken and a black chicken, I should say. So the produced offspring is having a white and a gray colored feathers. Okay, so for this speckled chicken, we call it speckled chicken. We here this is codominance, so this is not blending. Okay, do not mislead yourself na mapoproduce is combination of 2 colors. No. So both colors are actually observable, okay, for codominance. Now let's apply the concept for solving problems related to this mode of inheritance. So for the first problem, determine the possible traits of the calves if letter A, a red bull is mated with a red cow, 1. For letter B, a red bull is mated with white cow, which is number 2. And letter C, a roan, okay, not pink, because you've noticed here from the genotype capital R and W, this is not pink, this is codominance mode of inheritance. So both of the colors are present. So we call it as roan. So there's specific term used actually for the phenotype here, which you will learn later. So it's mated with a red cow, 3. So, and second question, a cross between a black cat and a tan cat produces tabby pattern, black and tan fur together. So both of these traits are dominant. But once we cross them, the black cat and the tan cat, the one produced for the offspring is combination of the colors black and tan for the fur. So codominance pa rin yun. So what percent of kittens would have tan fur? Tan fur if a tabby cat is crossed with a black cat. So later we're going to look for that problem. Now let's start with number 1 first. So these are again the questions this is the question rather, and there are sub questions under this number. So let's go ahead and do test cross for letter A. So parents are, both are homozygous red. Okay. One is Red Bull and another one is Red Cow. So we have to identify the possible traits of the calves produced once we do test cross between these parents. So gamits are, for both of the parents, isa lang ang gamit na ma-identify natin. So capital R and capital R. So using the genotypes of the parents, so we have to put that in the Punnett square. So we have capital R, and another capital R and capital R. So do test cross, same procedure from what we had earlier. So we have capital RR, both of them, and that is for the rest of the offspring. Now, what are the possible traits? Actually, by merely looking to these genotypes of the offspring, we can all agree that it produced, okay, for red. Okay, red. So the possible trait here for the cross between Red Bull and Red Cow, they have offspring na ang kulay na ay red. Okay, red. So that is the possible trait. Now for letter B, so these are the genotypes of the parents. Homozygous red. Red Bull is mated with white, which is also homozygous in white. So gametes are, for one parent, R alone, and another parent is white. So capital W, I should say. So capital R and capital W. So let's apply Punnett square. Put here the genotypes of the parents. So you know how to do test cross here for the Punnett square for the allele present for the parent. So R, W, both are capital letters. So we have R, a capital R, the capital W. So doing the same for the rest, we can all agree that both of the offspring, they have same genotype, okay, yung offspring, and what we're after here is just determining the possible trait. So this is heterozygous. Now we can never call it as pink, okay? So this is codominance. Now, so this is the trait of the offspring is roan. Okay, you would see red there, red spot, or red spot for the calves, and white spot for the calves as well, equally expressed. Okay, now for letter C, parents, they have these genotypes R, capital W, cross to your homozygous red. Okay, so red cow mated with roan. So gametes, here for for heterozygous roan are capital R and capital W. There are two gametes, capital R and capital W. For red, only one, capital R. So using Punnett square, these are the possible genotypes of the offspring. Okay, so we're after only for the possible traits. So we can all agree that there are two red and two roan offspring. Okay, for the calves produced when we do test cross for roan and a red cow. Now for number 2, so this is just again the problem. What we're after here is for us to get the percentage or percent of kittens, rather, percent of kittens would have if we cross a tabby cat to a black cat. So parents here are tabby cat and black cat. So for for black cat, I should say we have this homozygous genotype, homozygous black cat. This is the genotype, capital B and B, cross to capital B and T for tabby cat. So combination of your black and tan fur for BT. Maybe you're wondering why BT. Okay, again, that came from our idea that is just, not combination rather, the allele is equally expressed for this uh, genotype. Okay, B and T, capital B and T. So gametes here are for first parent only one, which is capital B, but for the second parent, two gametes are present, capital B and capital T. So using Punnett square, we just simply place here the genotypes of the parents. So we have capital B and B and capital B and capital T. So you know the procedure here. These are the possible genotypes of the offspring. So we have two homozygous black and two heterozygous tabby-cat. Okay, and if we're going to get the genotypic ratio, that is 2:2 or 1:1. For phenotypes, we have two block and two tabby-cats. So phenotypic ratio is 2:2 or 1:1. But the question here is, what percent of kittens would have tan fur? From our test cross, do we have a genotype that could actually lead us to have an idea that there is really a kitten with tan fur? So wala, di ba? None. No, therefore there is no. Okay, the answer is 0%. That's the percent of kittens na mapoproduce. Wala siyang mapoproduce if we cross black to your tabby-cat. Now, let's go ahead and have this think about it question. And what we're after here is for us to apply things you've learned from the discussion earlier. So the question is, as an owner of flower shop, how will you use the concept of incomplete dominance and codominance to increase your profit? Now, this is time for you to type your explanation or your answer in the comment section below to earn additional recitation points. And hopefully you understand this two non-Mendelian mode of inheritance.